Hey there, Logan with Sweetfish here. In the last video that you likely saw, we showed you how to get access via that invite email, how to log in for the first time, and how to create your studio in Riverside.fm. In this video, I'm going to show you the next steps of using that guest scheduling link and applying that to the calendar scheduling tool that you might be using, for instance, HubSpot Meetings or Calendly. And then most importantly, how to get into your studio and start recording with your guests. So let's dive right in. Where we last left off, we are in our studio settings again for that one reusable studio that we're going to use over and over again for every podcast episode that you record. We don't need a new studio for every session, exactly for the reason I'm going to show you next, because we want this one reusable guest link that guests can always use whenever you're recording on Riverside.fm. So we are in the studio settings of the podcast studio, which is named synonymous with our podcast name. Over here under invite participants, make sure that this setting is set to guest, and then simply copy that link. All right, I'm going to show you two of the top automated scheduling tools we use here at Sweetfish and how to use that guest link in both of these tools. All right, here we are in Calendly, a very common tool. You may already be using this. You want to go into your event type, and after you've set up your other settings of when can people book and what questions do you want them to ask and what sort of notifications do you want them to get, right here in the location field, we want to change that from Zoom or GoToMeeting or some other meeting type. We want to select custom, and we want to paste that full link with all of those trailing numbers and letters from the Riverside studio settings that we got right over here with this copy link button. And we want to put that in the location field. So we want to save that. So let's say you are using another tool like HubSpot Meetings. Similarly, once you have your event type set up in your meeting settings here in HubSpot, in the configuration is where it shows up in HubSpot. In the location tool or location field, you want to paste again that full link. So that way, when folks are booking onto your calendar, either from your own outreach, your teams, or our guest coordination team, you and the guest know exactly where you're going. And again, one of the benefits of Riverside.fm is that it is a simple one-click link in a Chrome browser for your guest to be able to join the call. All right, so let's say you are ready to record. It is the time of your podcast recording. How will you get access? All right. So you'll go to riverside.fm/login, and then you'll go into your studios and simply click go to recording studio under this one reusable studio that we've set up. Now your guest will come in through that guest link. You will log in at riverside.fm/login, go to your studio, and then click this go to recording studio button. All right. What happens then? Now you're seeing me twice on video, so please excuse that. All right, let's look at, I'm going to go ahead and kill this video down here so you're only seeing me once. All right, so when you log in, this is very similar to what your guest will see when they log in to Riverside as well to join the recording session. You'll see over here under their video, they will get a preview, obviously, of their video. They will also get to choose their microphone. This is where you will choose yours as well. And very much like any other meeting or video conferencing tool, you have three things to be able to select: your microphone, your camera, and your speaker. Now, we highly recommend using a pair of headphones. And if you are the host of the show, those have been provided to you by Sweetfish. So make sure that you are picking your headphones here. And if you are using those headphones, select the I am using headphones option. If you're not, you can select I'm not using headphones, and it will provide an echo cancellation, which is the reason we want headphones for you and your guests. So make sure that you pick the right option here accordingly, and then go ahead and join the studio. Make sure your name's showing up here. If not, obviously check your hair, as they say here on Riverside, and then join the studio. All right, here is a look at the studio and the interface of Riverside.fm when you're recording. Up in the upper left, you'll see the name of the studio. Followed here, you will see an invite option. So here again, if someone is having trouble joining, you can copy that guest link and you can email that to them. You can Slack that to them, however you need to as well. You can see the number of guests that are on the line. You'll be able to see your recording in progress here. We'll come back to that in just a second. Over on the right right-hand side, you can see your participants. You can check the audio level. So I can see if maybe I was a little bit too close to my mic and I'm getting some red there. I can monitor that. I can see if my audio is coming in maybe a little bit too hot, and same thing for my guest. If so, I can tell them, hey, you can ease away from your microphone a little bit, or you can use this little slider to adjust the audio levels on the fly as well. All right. Down below this, you'll have an option to name your recording. So you could say, hey, this is episode 1. Or what's really helpful for you and your producer to stay on the same page is put in the name of your guest right here. There is a character limit. You can't put sentences and sentences in the name of the recording. But if you just put the episode number or the name of your guest, first and last name, that will be easier for you and your producer here on the Sweetfish team to identify which recordings are which. All right, let's say we are ready to start recording. Your guest has hopped on. You do want to remind them that after we hit the stop recording button, we'll each need to stay on the line for a few minutes while our recordings upload rather. Oftentimes that can be less than a minute, but depending on internet upload speeds, it may take a few minutes. So make sure that you are leaving some time after recording before the end of your call that you're scheduled with your guest, and make sure you let them know that before you hit record. All right, let's say one more pro tip before you record. Obviously, as a podcast host, it's important to get your guest's name right. So you want to have them say their full name as well as their title and company to make sure you're pronouncing that right. And just say, hey, if someone were interviewing me, they say, hey, Logan, can you just simply give me your name and title for a quick mic check? And then I would reply, I'm Logan Lyles, VP of Customer Experience here at Sweetfish Media. And what you want to check for when they're doing that mic check as the host is to make sure that you only see the audio levels on their name bumping up. If for some reason you're talking and they're quiet and you see their levels moving, then you may need to click the 3 dots next to their button and next to their name and click Enable Echo Cancellation. So if you're getting any sort of echo or feedback where you're showing up on their line or vice versa, click that 3 dots and enable echo cancellation. And the reason this is a pro tip is you want to make sure to do it before you start the recording, not during. All right, so let's say we're ready to start recording. If your guest has any trouble, just direct them down here to pick their microphone, their speaker, and their camera, just like you would in Zoom or Microsoft Teams or any other video conferencing platform. All right, we are ready to start recording, so we're going to simply hit start recording. All right, there is a countdown on Riverside from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the recording begins. So you want to leave just a little bit of dead air, a little silence before you begin, and then do your standard intro to the show. Mine, for instance, would be as follows. Welcome back to B2B Growth. I'm Logan Lyles with Sweetfish Media. I'm joined today by Joe Smith, ... And then you go from there. All right. As you're recording, you should be seeing a few things. You should be seeing the red light come on here and the recording notification that's happening here. The other thing to look out for is to ensure that you have a red dot in your square in the video preview in Riverside, and every one of your guests should have that red dot in their square as well. So look out for that. You should also see each guest listed here. And their files should be progressing. These numbers should be moving up as you go. Now, let's say we're ready to wrap up the interview. Thank you, Joe, so much for being a guest on B2B Growth today. It was a pleasure to have you. It was a pleasure to be on, Logan. Thank you so much. Leave a little bit of dead air and make sure that you hit the stop button and not the hang up button. Stop will finish your recording. Hang up will end the call and end it for both you and your guest. So you don't want to hang up yet. All right, after I hit stop, I should get this check mark and I should let my guests know, hey, you should be seeing a check mark here soon once your upload is done in Riverside. Can you give me a thumbs up once that check mark shows up? The other thing you can do as the host is look over here on the right-hand side and you should be getting done next to your name, your guest's name, and any additional guests that might be on the interview as well. And that is it. That that is how you can leverage Riverside.fm to simply and easily record in high quality audio and video with you and your guests. Now, in a follow-up video, we're gonna share with you a video you can share with your guests on some best practices that they can do to prepare for recording on Riverside.fm.